if you decide that you want to preserve your privacy and make sure all the data that goes in and out of your computer is encrypted, then check out NordVPN. My affiliate link will give you something like a 2/3 discount on some of their packages. All right, Jana, you and I were talking about, we recorded a video about sexualization by the UNESCO and everything, UNICEF. And then you and I, you were talking about what's happening in island schools and how they're changing the curriculum in high schools. So do you want to say that again? I thought this is so good. It's got to be recorded. This is what's happening in
island schools. So in Irish schools, and I'll send you the document you can post as well at a later time, in secondary schools, they are removing some of the subjects from the core curriculum and moving them to what they're calling optional. And what they're moving out is science, geography, business studies, home economics, and a couple languages. I can't remember if it's French, German, or what the languages are, but they're moving them out to optional. So one of my good friends, Lisa, who does amazing work on the Natural Women's Council, has a daughter in secondary school, and every girl in that class is fighting to be taught science. They want to be taught science. Now, there's not going to be room for every child to learn science, geography, business studies, home economics, etc. They might, if they're lucky, get to pick one. And if there's a teacher resource, they might be lucky to get science. But they're putting in 400 hours of what's called well-being education. And under well-being is the sexuality education, which is much different to sex education. We're not against sex education at all, because that's the birds, the bees, and the biology. The sexuality is the teaching gender ideology. It's a fact, teaching the boys they can be girls and girls they can be boys, teaching things coming up like critical race theory, which in that document that I've seen, it says that a child will be taught that they are privileged because they're born white, Irish, or male. So that's breeding racism, because my little boy, who's white, Irish, and male, he is not privileged in any way. He's going to have to try as hard in life as anybody. So
hold on. I'm going to push back here. He may be privileged, but it's more a function of class. And from what I've seen about critical race theory, it completely ignores the dimension of class. Because I know in Britain, one of the most disadvantaged communities, or the worst performing communities, are white working class boys. There's no privilege. They underperform in educational stuff. And I think the other group that does also are Bengali boys.
Yeah. And nobody should feel privileged or supreme or guilty for the color of the skin, their nationality, their religion, their whether they're male or female, whether they're gay or straight, whether they're tall or short or skinny or fat. It doesn't matter. Everyone who comes out of that mummy's womb has the same shot in life to be successful as the next person. Now, you are going to have some anomalies, like, do they have supportive parents? Do they sit on the screens and play video games all day, or do they actually read and do educational things and all those nuances? But it doesn't have to do with their skin color or their nationality. So they're replacing those core subjects with well-being. So the LGBTQI, BLM, Black Lives Matter, is in the school curriculum here under the political studies in Ireland. Climate, the climate alarmism.
Yes.
What else? Critical race theory.
Because carbon dioxide, it's so dangerous. It's so dangerous that if you cut
all the trees down,
and you add water and warmth and daylight, then you get plant growth. Oh my God.
Yeah. So imagine my kids, they're only 5 and 8, they're in primary school, but when they get to secondary school in a few years, imagine my daughter learning about BLM, climate, critical race theory, LGBTQI, all of those things, but not learning science, geography, and things that teach her to be a critical thinker. So that wasn't voted on by parents in Ireland. Nobody wants it, but it's coming from the top down. Ireland is in the cockpit of the global agenda. There was a big meeting in New York, and Leo Varadkar was over there, and of 197 countries, Ireland was the co-chair of this meeting, which was to discuss the halfway point to Agenda 2030. So it was, I think 2015 was the first meeting. Now this is the halfway point, and Ireland were there to talk about how wonderful we've done implementing the WEF Sustainable Development Goals, which is all about the things I just talked about. And I think Leo was boasting that we're 80% of the way through to our Agenda 2030 goals. So it's just, these kids are going to be taught in Ireland to be social justice warriors. It's communism, it's Marxism, and it's here on Irish soil. But it's done under the guise of kindness and inclusion and being fair and not bullying and hang the flags. But when you get into the devil's in the detail, and you step back and say, wait a minute, my children aren't going to be taught science, but they're going to be taught that they should feel privileged because of their skin color. Where is the sense of that?
About it. They should feel bad about it, about their privilege, and that they should know that they're different from the other kids, and completely flawed anti-human philosophies. Because the other thing I just want to say, just remembered, is that in Britain, the community that does best educationally are Indians. Well, where's their white privilege? Not Pakistani, by the way, Indians, right? Well, they don't have white privilege, so it completely ignores that. Climate science is like the carbon dioxide. I asked a friend of mine, who's a very good teacher, very, very good teacher. He teaches business studies to sixth form and stuff, and asked him, how much of the atmosphere do you think is carbon dioxide? He goes, I really don't know. Really don't know. I said, well, think about it. You know, the way they bang on about it, and we mustn't increase it and stuff like that. What do you think? He goes, I reckon 50%. You know how much it is, don't you, Jana? How much is it?
I don't know I'm not sure the exact percent, but I do know for the that the the climate's always changing. So people say there's climate change, and I said, well, if you look at the last few hundred years, the climate has always changed over the last few hundred years, but it's not a man-made change. This is just how the climate works, and we're going into they say there's global warming, but if you look at it, we're going into what's it called, a solar minimus, like a mini ice age.
Solar minima, because they don't talk about solar cycles in that. But anyway, it's 0.4% of the atmosphere's CO2. 0.04%, and apparently that's more powerful than the sun and the magnetosphere and the cosmic radiation and the tectonic plates and the ICTC. So it's appalling science, filling children's heads with ideas and notions that have us arguing with each other, unsure of ourselves, versus actually acquiring some useful information about the world. And I think about how human societies throughout the ages have taken on notions that are completely inaccurate, like the earth is flat, or women are as witches, or formula milk being as good as breast milk. And I would say, or schooling even, and we've ordered society around that. And here we go, doing it again, because people aren't questioning. They're not.
And it's normalizing it. The strangest thing is, I think it was Sunday night, just a few days ago, RTE, which is our national broadcaster, which is really just an arm of the government propaganda. They have no credibility left in the public. But RTE announced on Sunday night that there's a storm warning going on, and I think it was yellow, and then it went to orange, and then it went to red. And on the RTE news, it said schools will be closed until 10 o'clock. Now, the Department of Education and the schools hadn't even been consulted or advised. So we got a message from our school to say, we're waiting for a direction from the Department of Education. But RTE, the government propaganda machine, said schools will be closed due to this storm. So I wake up in the morning, Monday morning, look out the window, and I'm like, yeah, it's November. The leaves have blown off the trees. There's a little bit of breeze, a little bit of rain. My wheelie bin hadn't even tipped over. We had a power cut because, of course, the power cuts can be done with the click of a switch, Then it was school's going to start at 11. Then it was, can't go to school at all. So the kids were off school all day Monday because of a little wind and rain. Leaves were falling down like they do every autumn. But everybody thought, this is very unusual weather for November. My goodness, look at the wind and rain. And I'm thinking, I'm nearly 50 and this has been the weather in November since I was born. So what did I do? I drove the kids to the swimming pool and spent the day swimming, and we drove around all the roads and we didn't see any trees down, and it was wonderful. Normality.
There was something like that in Britain a week or so ago, and I cycled to the local train station and took the train. It was kind of fine. There was a little bit of flooding and that was it. Okay.
They've been talking about managed retreats over in England. Managed retreats. Have you heard that word?
No.
No, there was on News Talk in Ireland. It's a phrase they were saying that the coastal areas in Ireland now are going to be so dangerous to live in with the climate change. People from the coast might have to move inland and do these managed retreats, and they're building 15-minute cities in Ireland, and it's no secret anymore. You walk down in Dublin and there's a big sign that says this is the start of your 15-minute city. So everybody, due to the climate crisis, is going to have to move inland, move to these little 15-minute cities. And with the climate, all this crisis that we saw 2 days ago with the leaves falling down, there's going to be climate lockdowns. Watch this space for that. That's the next. That'll be the next COVID. Climate will be the next COVID.
Climate lockdowns. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think what there is for people to do is to share this video, spread the word, raise awareness about what's going on. And, if you're skeptical, fair enough, do check it out. Take a look for yourself. Go learn some. I mean, what I did was I went and learned about climate science myself. Can't just be 0.4% of the atmosphere that's ordering everything on this planet. No. Okay. So, Jana, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. And people, please do go and watch the other videos that I've done with her and register, subscribe, and do all that business. and please keep filling your pockets with freedom. This is Jana and Rich signing out. All the best. Bye-bye.
Good night.